Good morning. It's really an honor and a privilege to be here in this moment. There is a proverb that has roots on the continent of Africa that says that nothing changes until something changes. And I think today represents a change and a step toward more change that we all can be proud of. So thank you for choosing to be part of the progress, of the process, of the journey to making a difference. I want to thank every Michigander and every American, all of us whom have, and it's sad, but all of us have a personal story and have been personally touched by the scourge of completely preventable gun violence. 8 weeks ago, we gathered here on this campus to grieve and mourn the tragedy that took the lives of 3 Spartans. We also have grieved in Michigan a year before that for the tragedy that happened at Oxford High School. And Michiganders shed tears every day when they lose loved ones to gun violence. So as we prepare now to take this step of progress, I do want to ask everyone under the sound of my voice to join me in a moment of silence and remembrance and reflection for those to whom we've said goodbye. Thank you. Out of that silence comes action. Out of our determination collectively comes action. And that is what's going to happen today. We all know that every single person who dies a gun death dies a preventable death. And we all have known for many years that there are steps that could be taken to prevent those tragedies. And everyone here is part of the movement that made it happen. Whether you are a parent of someone who has been lost to gun violence, or you know a fellow parent who has lost someone to gun violence. Whether you're a student activist, a student leader, or a student who has a sister or brother or a friend or a cousin or a family member you've lost to gun violence. Whether you are a community leader, a business owner, or a gun owner, we all recognize the role that we can play in making a difference in saving lives. Today is not the culmination of that movement, but the continuation of it. We stand up because we know that we can build safer communities, safer schools, safer universities, and safer streets. We can choose hope with the confidence of action. Hope comes from making progress. Hope comes from knowing that a new future is possible. And so I want to thank all of you for being part of that future, for being part of that story. And I specifically want to thank my colleagues, my Democratic colleagues in Lansing, who have stepped up and stood tall for our communities. It's a new day, y'all. And so I want to welcome to the podium Representative Ranjit Puri to talk about how this legislature is doing something different for our communities to make all of us safer. Representative.
Thank you so much, Lieutenant Governor. Good morning, everyone. What a monumental day in the state of Michigan, because today we are signing into legislation that is going to take clear and evidence-based steps into making our communities safer and finally moving our state in a place where no one has to live under the fear of senseless gun violence. Now, today's conversation has been years in the making, and we want to thank so many state and federal partners. Every town, all these moms demanding action. Giffords, the Brady Center, March for Alive, the thousands of students who were forced to march on our Capitol to demand action, and the tens of thousands of volunteers across the state that have been fighting for years. Thank you. This would not have been done without all of you. Now, this issue is personal to Michigan, as our state has fallen victim to multiple mass shootings, and just on this campus two months ago. This issue is personal to me, as my family's former place of worship fell victim to a mass shooter in 2012. Losing 6 innocent lives that day and sparking me to run for office one day. And so these bills that we are signing into law today, mandatory background checks and safe storage laws, have been in the making for years. And year after year, these pieces of legislation and these packages were introduced in prior legislators, never to receive a hearing. But the truth is that this does not need to be a political issue. This does not need to be a partisan issue, because this is a human issue. This is a uniquely American issue. And the harsh reality is that every time one of these shootings occur, a family is left grieving, a community is left picking up pieces. And we don't need to live like this. We shouldn't be forced to live like this. And so, and then the facts are clear and they're on our side. It's that Michiganders all over the state support common sense gun reform. Regardless of background, regardless of political persuasion, Michiganders all over support this. And they made their voices very clear last November when they elected common sense majorities in both the House, the Senate, and the governor's office. And today, I am proud to stand with that leadership team from Lansing, delivering for the people of Michigan to make sure that we are enacting laws that are common sense and making Michigan a safer place. Now, I am a state representative, but I'm also the father to 3 small boys, and I understand all of our children deserve to live in a life free of senseless gun violence. And firearms now are the #1 cause of deaths for children across our country. Our country is an extreme outlier, where we're the only country in the world where this happens as frequently as it does. No other country deals with this issue. Our communities have been shattered for decades. Every time there's a senseless act of violence, families and friends grieve for loved ones who are lost too soon. It is past time for us to take action and pass common sense gun reform measures here in Michigan. Our youth, the people of Michigan, demand that we do better, and firearm-related injuries and deaths are preventable tragedies. Even today, under the strong leadership of the House, we hope to pass more common sense legislation out of the Michigan House today. The harsh reality is that no one bill or policy is going to rid our society of this issue. These are hard challenges that will continue to require bold leadership. But the amount of gun violence which exists in our country is a symptom of years of government inaction. So we need to become the kind of country that saves the lives of children and values the lives of children more than the firearms that are used to kill them time and time again. Now, I want to be explicitly clear. Forcing people to pick between gun ownership and a safe Michigan is a false choice, okay? But forcing people to pick between the lives of our children and irresponsible gun owners is an easy decision. And so I am proud to stand amongst Michigan leadership today. I am proud of our state today as we are taking steps to curb senseless gun violence in this state. Safe storage and mandatory background checks will save lives, and I believe that together we are Spartan strong, and with strong leadership, we will continue to find ways to make Michigan safer for every Michigander around this state. Thank you all for being here. I look forward to continuing to stand with all of you and my good friend, Senator Baer.
Finally! Finally, we're here. Thank you so much for being here and sharing this incredible, important time today. I am State Senator Baer, and I am thrilled that we're here today to finally take this first step forward to address this horrible epidemic that we have, gun violence in Michigan, that's taking away our friends and our family members and our children. Finally, we are changing the law in Michigan to make sure that there's a background check on every gun purchase, not just handguns, and keep guns out of the hands of people who should not have them. So simple. And finally, we're changing the laws to make sure that kids can't get access to guns and shoot themselves and the people around them. Just ensure that gun owners take those basic safety measures that we all have been advocating for. We're going to make them take those basic safety measures to protect themselves and their kids every day. So, I have to say that I am sorry that it has taken us so long to get here. My heart was broken, and broken again, over firearm deaths in my life, in my family. My heart suffered every time we would hear of another shooting, another drive-by, another child shot. But then my heart actually shattered after Oxford High School shooting, and then Michigan State. It just broke into pieces. These are places where our kids are always happy and safe, and now we're traumatized and scared. I'm sorry for the loss. I'm sorry for the pain of all the students and families, the teachers, the staff, people all over the world now impacted by this, lives that are lost, and so many others who will be forever changed because of what happened. I will never forget. You are never going to forget. But today we're taking action. Yes. Today. We're taking that very first little bit of medicine to start to heal the broken hearts. Maybe. Because of the work of so many for so long, I'm not going to do the list of everybody again, but because of legislators, because of our 10 years of work in the legislature, our colleagues, our teams, our policy teams, the national groups that we already talked about, just amazing amounts of support from everyone, our powerful Attorney General, our amazing governor, and all of her team just could not be done without this. Because of all of those people, we've finally taken this first step forward. But in front of us, behind us, always around us, are so many of you who have been fighting for this for a very long time, advocating, pushing, pulling, coercing, dragging, whatever it takes, right, to move this cause forward, to raise the visibility and the criticality of this issue for our kids, for the people of our state. You guys, we would never be here without you. You are the team that we needed, demanding action, taking action. You are the ones who got us there. And by the way, you are the team that we still need, because as you know, this is a huge step forward. It's the first step forward. Many more steps to take. So we do still have a lot to do, but today we celebrate. Today, finally, we get to say, hooray! And I thank you very much again for being here. Thank you for supporting me. Now I'll introduce Sheriff Fuller from Kalamazoo.
Thank you, Senator. Say again. Sure. So just take a minute, look to your left, and say, "You did this." Now look to your right and say, "You did this." Today is an exciting day for me and the millions of Michiganders who worry about gun violence daily, looking for ways to help prevent it. These 6 bills are a grand step in making our community safer for our families and those who visit our great state. They are part of a thoughtful and comprehensive approach to preventing gun violence. Law enforcement continues working hard to protect our communities from gun violence and those who commit gun-related crimes. The collaboration and thought put into these bills will not only help prevent gun violence and produce safer communities, but it will also keep your law enforcement professionals safer when they answer the call for service. Please understand these bills are some of the best tools available to assist in the prevention of children getting their hands on a firearm. With universal background checks for all firearms, we stand a better chance of preventing a tragedy. No longer do we only have our thoughts and prayers. We have these tools, and we're taking action. So again, I say thank you like everyone else is saying thank you today. Thank you to our legislators. Thank you to the community groups. You all know who you are. I see friends from Kalamazoo right here in the front row. And thank you to all the other people involved in this bill legislation, everything getting passed, and thank you, Governor Whitmer. Yes. I say thank you to all these people for helping keep Michigan safe. Now it's my privilege to introduce to you the National Moms Demand Action Senior Vice President, Angela Farrell-Zabala.
Thank you so much, Sheriff Fuller, and thank you, Governor Whitmer, Lieutenant Governor Gilchrist, Senator Baer, Representative Puri, and everyone gathered here today. My name is Angela Farrell-Zabala, and I'm the Senior Vice President for Movement Building at Everytown, where I have the distinct honor of leading our grassroots Moms Demand Action and Students Demand Action volunteers. We're gathered here today to celebrate historic progress that'll help us save lives from senseless gun violence. We're also here to honor the survivors. We're here to support communities that are forever impacted and traumatized because of this senseless violence. And we're here to never forget the lives that were stolen from us. From Michigan State University to Oxford High School, to the countless incidents of daily gun violence that plague our communities that don't even make the front pages. Today, we're honoring them with action. Thanks to the tireless efforts of the grassroots gun violence prevention movement, from our Moms Demand Action and Students Demand Action volunteers and survivors, to our community partners, and of course, our gun sense champion lawmakers, universal background checks and secure storage will now be the law of the land in Michigan. That progress is monumental, but it didn't happen overnight. In many ways, Michigan serves as a blueprint for how the gun violence prevention movement has turned the calculus on this issue, has turned the tide on this issue. Just 10 years ago, when Moms Demand Action was founded, this was said to be a untouchable political third rail, and many lawmakers would use the same tired playbook of thoughts and prayers without any policy change or action. But we knew that that was not enough to stop the senseless gun violence in our communities. And countless mothers and others beyond assembled from all across the country and right here within Michigan to begin demanding action and real life-saving policies from our lawmakers. Year after year, Moms Demand Action and Students Demand Action volunteers have showed up the State House at gun bill hearings right here in Lansing, going toe-to-toe with some of our gun extremists, armed extremists, in fact. And we never backed down. Instead, we doubled down and we grew our ranks and continued to show up election cycle after election cycle at phone banks, at our neighbors' doors, and of course, at the ballot box to help our gun sense candidates. Yes. That's right. And in 2018, we were proud to help elect Governor Whitmer and Lieutenant Governor Gilchrist, who have been stalwart champions taking executive action where possible. But following the horrific shooting at Oxford High School in 2021, despite calls for action, the legislature failed to act. But guess what? We took notice, and we held those lawmakers accountable at the ballot box last November. That's right. And not only did we flip the legislature and elect a gun sense trifecta, we elected 9 of our own Michigan Moms Demand Action volunteers, like Representative Corey, up and down the ballot. That's right. But let me be clear, our work is not done here today. Today is definitely a critical, historic step and a long march to realizing a future free from gun violence. And I know that with champions like Governor Whitmer, Lieutenant Governor Gilchrist, our champions in the House and Senate, and our sea of red shirts, I see you, nothing will stop us as we keep going, as we keep fighting to pass extreme risk protection orders, as we keep fighting to close domestic violence loopholes, as we keep fighting to support life-saving community violence intervention programs. This is how we make progress. We can't wait for another tragedy to jolt us into action. This is how we make our communities safer for our families. This is how we make our schools safer for our students and educators. This is how we save lives. And I'm so grateful for the courage and commitment all of you fighting for this have displayed to get this over the line. And now it's my distinct honor to introduce our incredible Michigan Moms Demand chapter leader, Celeste Camporla.
As I look out today at all of your lovely faces, I am struck with so many emotions. It's been a 7-year fight for me, and for so many of you, I know it's been even longer. I'm remembering all of the times I've been in Lansing over the past 7 years, that I have volunteered with Moms Demand Action, all of the legislators I've met with, the precious moments with my children, all while advocating for gun safety laws. Many of these legislators in the past dodged our questions and our concerns. They didn't take the time to listen to our stories. Not today. Because today we have the gun sense majority. Today we are getting it done, thanks to our legislators and our governor. They are showing us that they care. They care about people like me, a grieving daughter whose dad, Scott, took his own life with his firearm just 9 years ago, this past Easter, just a few days ago. People like my dear friend Mia Reed, whose son Charles, Chuck, was murdered on the streets of Detroit. People like the incredible Rick and Martha O'Million, whose daughter Maggie was murdered by her ex-boyfriend. People like my sweet friend Pam Lideline, I think she's somewhere in the room, whose daughter Michelle was struck by a stray bullet and died in the hospital. And of course, the loved ones of Brian, Ariel, and Alexandria, murdered here in East Lansing just 2 months ago, as well as Madison, Tate, Justin, and Hannah in Oxford. We are not just statistics. We represent the majority of Americans who are asking for change, who are demanding change. And we are here today thanking our legislators for listening to us and taking action. And I just have one ask of all of you, and that is to be bold, be brave, because if you don't do something, who will? Thank you. And now I would like to introduce the incredible Joe, president of Michigan State Students.
Hi everyone, I'm sorry, I'm doing this speech from my phone because if you're a Spartan, you know that the Wi-Fi doesn't work in Spartan Stadium. So, hi everyone. My name is Joe Kovach, and I'm the student body president here at Michigan State University. In my capacity, I represent the 40,000 undergraduate students who call MSU our home. Michigan State is our home. Welcome to our home. A home whose safety and security was taken from us the night of February 13th, 2023, just 2 months ago to the day, when a person with no ties to our university did the unimaginable by bringing a gun onto our campus while we all sat away in dark rooms waiting to hear any information about our friends, our classmates, and our community. We spent hours preparing ourselves to run, hide, and fight for our lives if need be, something many of us have been preparing to do almost our entire lives. You can prepare for something your whole life, but the soul-crushing fear of every sound you hear possibly being the one that you're hoping it won't be is something that stays with you forever. That night we lost Alex Verner, an extremely kind-hearted and talented student who was a vital member of her community and uplifted others wherever she went. We also lost Ariel Diamond Anderson, an extremely hardworking and caring person on her way to becoming a pediatrician so that she could care for others for the rest of her life. And we lost Brian Frazier, the president of Phi Delta Theta at MSU, as only a sophomore. He was a compassionate leader who made sure everyone around him always felt welcomed and had a smile on their face. All 40,000 of us are changed after that, and many of us are still trying to figure out what that means. Something that all 40,000 of us know is that we never want anyone else to have to go through what we've gone through. Together, with many students from Oxford High School, countless students have spent the days and months afterwards organizing protests and rallies and meeting with legislators and giving testimonies at the Michigan House and Senate hearings and doing absolutely everything they can to make these bills a reality. We wouldn't be here today without the tireless work of Oxford High School students, No future without today. Moms and students demand action. March for our lives, and the many others. Thank you. For Michigan State students, the passage of this legislation means a first step towards some sort of safety. Our home might be forever altered for us, and we all lost something that day 2 months ago. But something I know about Spartans is that in the absolute worst of times, we come together and we do what we can to change the world. We are thankful to the legislature for working so hard with us to get these bills passed, and we hope to continue working with you all to make sure that no Michigander ever has to go through what us and Oxford High School have gone through. We are all Spartans and Wildcats today. Thank you so much, and it is now my immense honor to introduce a Spartan changing the world, Governor Gretchen Whitmer.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I think, like so many of us in this room and on this stage and in these seats and in our communities, I too am dealing with vacillating between a lot of emotions right now. Between grief for those that we've lost and those that continue to live with the trauma inflicted on the daily gun violence that plays out in this country and in our state. Gratitude that we are actually